Captain Hex, and welcome to another show-off of my LORG Destiny LORG Chart. This one is going to be a proper one with screen grab, so you guys can actually see what's going on the screen. I want to thank everybody for the huge welcoming of my earlier video. I'm very grateful for you guys and that you enjoy it. Now we're going to give a quick shout out to ishtar-collected.net. Baxter, who runs it, is a great guy, and without his help, his database and his linkage, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have done this at all. So he got me started. Thank you so much. I also want to give a huge shout out to the Ghost Stories, a Destiny podcast. Those guys are great. If you haven't listened to them already, go do that immediately. And my last shout out is to their Ghost Stories Slack chat. Those wonderful people have helped me a lot with trying to nail down the facts and how things are related to each other, so thank you very much. So let's go into this. I'm showing you today the chart in the chart reader. Yes, I know chart means something else, and this chart is originally created in the IBM i2 Analyst Notebook. And that's quite an expensive program. I don't have it at home, where I am now. So what I do have is this chart reader. It's a free software for reading the work you have done in Analyst Notebook. So let's go into it. Now there's currently a memory issue with the chart reader. It cannot read my extremely large file. So I have to split it in two. So if you can see here, this is the top part and this is the bottom part. These two are actually connected, of course, but I have split them for the purpose of showing you in this video. So let's see. Let's start with the basic. What is a chart? Now, a chart, the easiest way to explain it is that it's a visual database. The good things about a visual database is you can show how things are related to each other in a way that you can't with a normal database. So imagine Google Maps. If you look at if you just search an address row, you get 10 hits on a specific street, but if you look at that specific street in the maps view, you can see how close are the houses to each other, which one is next to each other. So let's go in a little bit and check out a couple of entities, and I'll explain what an entity is. Let's dive in. So let's go into something let's start here. So sorry, I'm gonna make this a larger window. The Battle of Twilight Gap. Now that line, forget that line, I just popped that from the Destiny timeline, also great site to use. So here we have entities. Entities are these guys. This is a user-created entity, and these are the Grimoire. Those have been automated with the help of Baxter and his Ishtar Collected. So here we have an entity. This is a Grimoire, so the Grimoire text, we have some of the additions that come with the card. And then I've created the Battle of Twilight Gap. So it's linked to its descriptive Grimoire. These are links. These links tell us how our entities connected to each other. So here we have, for instance, the Jalorn, very popular shoulder-mounted rocket launcher. It's created in honor of the Battle of Twilight Gap. Now going through, I've managed to sort of create different entities from what flavor text they have. So reading some of the item descriptions, you get a lot of information of what has happened before. So using these three, the Murvag, I cannot Murvags, that's the Swedish pronunciation at least, you can see there are 3 guardians that are part of the first pillars. So I create those guys, or girls also, because this is her, and then I make them a part of the first pillar order. I also managed to found the first pillar mark, and these images that are everywhere, that's the reason why memory constraints are an issue right now in the chart reader. It's fine in the Analyst Notebook. Following that down, you have a hero. Ooh, that's Lord Celadon Forge. His description is described in both these, both the Iron Banner rep, that's about him, also in the Iron Banner Grimoire. Now the Iron Banner, as we know, just ended. That was in honor of the Iron Lords. So here we have the Iron Lords. I'm just gonna settle my screen a little bit. Timur, Perun, and so forth. Now I'm trying to add as much information as I can about each of the entities. Also, these names and these icons are predetermined. So luckily there's a build. So I try to use the one I find most appropriate for the occasion. So I try to add things like if it's a male, is it a female, a human male, a human female, awoken, sort of a descriptive how their roles are. So following these lines, we can go up to Radagast. Radagast has his items. Here he is referenced. His name, the Iron Sash is named after him. And if we go this way, we can see his blade, and that's the max zoom. Now, if we follow this line here, we have a class item, the 5 mile more class item. Radagast host made it 5 miles from the city's first wall. You notice a line here. You can see that they are different. This is a confirmed line. So Radagast's host. So he was led the host of the 5 mile mark. But this is an unconfirmed. These are more than theories. These are unconfirmed claims. So let's see what I'm claiming here. So if we look at these two marks, as you can see, they are the same, or rather, they are very similar looking. This is the mark of the sortie. 2 firebreak commanders led a sortie beyond the walls during the 6 fronts battle. They reclaimed 5 miles of scorched earth. Now, as you can see here, 5 miles from the city's first walls. So one of the firebreak commanders is probably Radagast. So that's how that kind of link works. There's also a, as you can see here, there's a tentative, that's theories. So I have a theory about the firebreak order. I'm not going to show it here, but that goes along that line. If we scroll out a little bit and look, oh right, here's the Battle of 6 Fronts and all the class items I've found so far. I got a lot of items still to organize. Let's follow these two up. They go up towards sort of a lineage of the Dark Age, going back to the what leads to the City Age. Let's go down here. We have the Ares 1 mission, the pilot, the crew that led to the Golden Age. So I'm trying to visualize chronologically also how things are related to each other. Going here, we have the city, the tower reps are over here. Going down, we have the consensus, the speaker, and the vanguard, as we know them. Hello, Cade. Over here, the consensus. Following those lines, we have 3 members of the consensus here. The different factions. The faction rep, faction rep, faction rep. I made teal ones, teal links when it comes to quotes, so she's directly quoted here. And also I've begun to sort of pull out the quotes to a entity of its own, like here, icon arrays, because some of our guardians do tend to talk a lot. Ares talks a lot. So it's easier to follow if they are separated from each other. Let's go to the other chart now and look at another example. Up here we have Hive. Here is the Book of Sorrows in chronological order. That's a hard word to say when you're Swedish. And I'm going to go through this and sort of pull out what I can find in them. 0 will have its own entity. Sure already has, but I think it's down here somewhere. Yeah, 0 there. And I want to say, if you see your creations, your graphics, whatever in here, I'm sorry, I love your work, that's why I chose it. I never meant to publish this. If you feel like you don't want me to use it, please let me know and I'll remove it as quickly as possible. So here we have the Hive. Someone recently pulled out the Hive runes, so I added that. You have the World's Grave, and going down we have hierarchy. Here's another good example of how these visual databases work. So we have the King Morph in the top, that's currently Oryx, as we know. And you have tribute flowing from Ascendant Hive up to King Morph. Now, Ascendant Hive can morph up to King Morph. Going down, we have Ascendant Hive, who are basically made up of wizards or knights that ascend. I've added some ascendant here, also trying to describe what they are and if I can find any type of gender to them. We know that wizards are female, the only female in the hive. Well, not the only, sorry, that's a misinterpretation, because knights can also be she. Going down, we have acolytes and thrall, tribute flowing upwards. Now the hive, they worship gods. They are up here, the worm gods. Here we have them, the snakes. Soul here, you'll. I've tried to add their items as well to try to objectify. And here we have Akka, who is killed by orcs to make the tablets of ruin. Or yeah, and going down here we have orcs. Orcs, as you know, commands the taken. So here we have a taken example. They don't have an hierarchy as I can see it. They're just taken. So let's see what I want to show more. Yeah, I wanted to show you a sort of a complex version of how objectifying can work. So down here we have Rasputin and all of his cards, and I want to say, if you're seeing this and thinking what the hell is this, if you check out Ghost Stories, they have a couple of episodes about Rasputin when they go really in depth and explain better than I can, a lot better than I can, what these things are. So looking at these cards in hopefully chronological order, I've tried to pull out the different sort of protocols that are active. So if you want to show you Yuga, and I can right click, select connections and select ends. So I can see here that Yuga is checked in this card, it's activated in this card, and it's declared in sundown in this card. That's what all these lines are about. I'm trying not to cross them as much as possible, but as you can see, sometimes it's hard not to do it. So another one, let's see. Oh yeah, I always forget it's this one. So here we have a visual representation of the solar system as it's represented in game. I've tried to make the icons represent how large the planet or thing is. And below Jupiter you have the description of Jupiter, and below that you have the dreams of Alpha about Jupiter. Now Luna has gotten a couple of additions here. You have the Crucible map, first light, where it is, it's on Luna, what it is, and here I've gone through the Grimoire regarding this and extracted and objectified the information. So we have the unknown scientist that's talking in this one. He finds a single longer cage. This one I pulled, it's probably the one in Chamber of Night, since he talks about the Chamber of Night. So this is another example of how I'm pulling out information and visualizing it in this chart. So, pulling out, you can probably guess by now that I have still a lot of work ahead of me, and I do this as a hobby thing, so it's gonna probably take me a couple of months to get this out to people. I want it to be at least on the basic lore level before I release it. Also, about time, about 300 hours I think over 4 months. Here, an hour there during work hours. It's about 220 megabytes right now, and that's probably because of all the images I wanted to add. So that's it. That was my wife's Facebook. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.